Okay, I want you to imagine something with me for a second. Picture a man, let's call him Daniel. Daniel is 54 years old. He worked hard his whole life. Woke up early, stayed late, skipped vacations, clipped coupons, built a savings account that he was genuinely proud of. He had a house, a car, 2 kids in university, and about $180,000 sitting in a bank account. Not rich, but solid, responsible, the kind of guy who actually had his life together. Daniel dies on a Tuesday, heart attack. Nobody saw it coming. And within 6 months, his family, the people he spent his whole life working for, is in a legal battle. The money is frozen. The house is tangled up in paperwork. His daughter can't access a single dollar to pay her tuition. His son is borrowing money from friends just to cover the funeral costs. And here's the part that will make your stomach drop. Daniel did nothing wrong. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't irresponsible. He just didn't know what most people don't know. He had no idea what happens to your money the second you die. And because of that, everything he built, everything he sacrificed for, turned into a nightmare for the people he loved most. That story isn't unique. That's happening to families right now. Maybe in your city, maybe in your family. And the worst part, nobody talks about it. Nobody teaches it in school. Your job never covered it in orientation. And most people won't think about it until it's too late. Because thinking about death is uncomfortable. And we're very good at putting uncomfortable things off until tomorrow. But today, we're not doing that. Today, we're going to talk about exactly what happens to your money, your assets, your accounts, every single thing the moment you die. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to want to make a phone call. You're going to want to do something. Because once you understand this, you can't unknow it. So let's get into it. The moment you die, and I mean the literal moment, you stop being a legal person. Sounds obvious, right? But here's what most people don't realize. Your money doesn't automatically go to your family. Your accounts don't automatically transfer. Your house doesn't just get handed over. Instead, everything you own enters a kind of legal limbo. And depending on how prepared you were, that limbo can last months, or it can last years. The process is called probate. And if that word makes your eyes glaze over, stay with me, because this is where the story really starts. Probate is the legal process where the government essentially says, okay, this person is gone. Let's figure out what they had, who they owed, and who gets what. And on paper, that sounds reasonable, logical even. But in practice, it is slow, expensive, public. Yes, I said public, and in many cases, deeply unfair to the people left behind. Here's how it actually works. When you die, your estate, that's the legal term for everything you own, gets submitted to a probate court. A judge gets involved. And before your family sees a single dollar, the court makes sure that all your debts are settled first. Credit card companies, medical bills, outstanding loans, they all get paid before your kids, your spouse, your parents get anything. Now here's a fact that most people find genuinely shocking. According to data from the American Bar Association, the average probate process takes between 9 months and 2 years to complete. 2 years. Your family could be waiting 2 full years to access money you left behind. And during that time, bills don't stop. Mortgages don't pause. Life doesn't wait. And let's talk about cost, because this is where it gets infuriating. Probate fees, attorney fees, court fees, executor fees can eat up anywhere from 3 to 8% of your total estate. So if you built a $300,000 estate over a lifetime of work, you could be handing the court system anywhere from $9,000 to $24,000. Just like that, gone. Not to your kids, not to your spouse, to the process. And here's the part that really gets me. A lot of people think, well, I'll just write a will. That'll sort everything out. And look, a will is better than nothing, genuinely. But a will doesn't avoid probate. A will is actually a document that goes through probate. It just tells the court how you want your stuff distributed. But the court still controls the timeline. The court still controls the process. And the court can still override parts of your will if they conflict with the law. So if you've been walking around thinking your will has everything sorted, I need you to hear this. A will alone is not enough. Now let's talk about your bank account specifically, because this is where most people's money actually lives, and this is where the confusion gets really dangerous. When you die, your individual bank accounts that are only in your name, get frozen immediately. Your family cannot access them. Your spouse cannot walk into the bank and withdraw money, even for something as basic as groceries or funeral costs, unless they are a joint account holder or a legally designated beneficiary. That's the rule, and banks follow it to the letter. Think about what that means practically. Imagine your partner passes away. You're grieving. You're exhausted. You're trying to hold the family together. and you go to the bank and they look at you with a sympathetic face and say, "I'm sorry, we can't give you access to that account." That's not a movie scene. That's real. That happens every single day to people who were completely blindsided. Now, and this is important, there's a simple, powerful thing called a beneficiary designation. On most bank accounts, you can add what's called a POD, a payable on death, beneficiary. That's a person you name who gets direct access to that account when you die. No probate, no waiting, no court. They show up with a death certificate. They prove who they are, and the money transfers. Same thing with retirement accounts. Your 401k, your IRA. These pass directly to whoever you named as a beneficiary. They completely skip probate. And here's the thing. This is one of the most powerful wealth transfer tools available to regular people, and most people are not using it correctly. I can't tell you how many times I've seen stories of someone who opened a retirement account in their 20s, named their mom as the beneficiary, got married, had kids, built a life, and then died without ever updating that form, and the money went to their mom instead of their spouse and children. Because the beneficiary form is a legal document, it overrides your will. It overrides what you told people you wanted. Whatever name is on that form is who gets the money. Update your beneficiaries. I'm going to say that again because it matters. Update your beneficiaries after every major life event. Marriage, divorce, new child, death in the family. Update those forms. It takes 15 minutes and it can change everything. All right, let's talk about the house, because real estate is where things get really complicated. And for a lot of people, their home is the biggest asset they'll ever own. When you die, your house goes through probate unless you've specifically structured it to avoid that. And here's what that means for your family. Let's say you own a home worth $250,000. You pass away. The house doesn't immediately transfer to your kids. First, the court assesses the estate. Then any outstanding mortgage, property taxes, or debts against the property get addressed. Then, and only then, does the house get transferred. But here's where it gets even messier. What if your kids don't agree on what to do with the house? One wants to sell, one wants to keep it. Now you've got a family dispute layered on top of a legal process, on top of a period of grief. That combination is devastating. It tears families apart. I've seen statistics suggesting that inheritance disputes are one of the leading causes of long-term family estrangements. Real relationships destroyed over a process that could have been simplified years earlier with the right planning. One of the most effective tools to deal with this is a living trust. Now, before your eyes glaze over because that sounds complicated, bear with me. A living trust is essentially a legal container. You transfer ownership of your assets, your house, your accounts, your investments, into the trust while you're still alive. You control it completely while you're living. But when you die, the assets in that trust pass directly to your beneficiaries, completely outside of probate. No court, no delays, no public record. And yes, I said public. Probate is a public process in most places. Your neighbors, your enemies, random strangers can look up what you owned and who got it. A trust keeps all of that private. The cost of setting up a basic living trust ranges from about $1,000 to $3,000 with an attorney, depending on where you live. Compare that to the tens of thousands of dollars probate can cost. Compare it to the years of waiting. Compare it to the family relationships that break down during the process. Suddenly, a living trust starts to look like the smartest $1,500 you could ever spend. Here's something we need to address directly, because I know some of you are thinking it. This doesn't apply to me. I'm young. I'm healthy. I don't have that much money anyway. I need you to sit with that thought for a second, because that's exactly what Daniel thought. And that's exactly what millions of people think every single year, right up until the moment it becomes someone else's problem to figure out. Here's the thing about money and death. It doesn't respect your timeline. It doesn't wait until you've figured it out. The data is sobering. According to a 2023 survey by Caring.com, only 34% of American adults have a will, just 34%, which means 2/3 of the population, 2 out of every 3 people, will die leaving their families to navigate an estate with no legal direction. And younger people are even less prepared. Among adults under 35, that number drops to around 18%, and I understand why. Death is uncomfortable to think about. Writing a will means acknowledging your own mortality in a way that feels abstract and far away when you're young and healthy. But here's the mental shift I want you to make. This isn't about you. It's about the people you love. Every day you wait is a day you're leaving them more exposed, more vulnerable, more likely to end up like Daniel's family. Not because you didn't care, but because you didn't know. Now let's talk about something that almost nobody talks about in these conversations: digital assets. This is a relatively new problem, but it's growing fast because we now live in a world where a meaningful portion of people's wealth exists in digital form. Cryptocurrency wallets, PayPal balances, investment accounts on apps, even business income tied to digital platforms. And unlike a house or a bank account, digital assets often have no clear legal path to transfer. If you have Bitcoin or Ethereum sitting in a wallet and you die without leaving anyone the private keys or recovery phrases, that money is gone. Not locked up in probate. Gone. Forever. It's estimated that somewhere between 3 and 4 million Bitcoin, worth hundreds of billions of dollars at current prices, has been permanently lost due to lost keys, forgotten passwords, and the deaths of account holders who left no record behind. And beyond crypto, think about your streaming subscriptions, your PayPal, your Amazon account, your airline miles, your digital photo libraries. Some of these have monetary value. Some have sentimental value that can never be replaced. And most platforms have no clear process for transferring these to family members after death. The practical solution? A secure document, a digital estate plan, that lists all your accounts, your login information, and clear instructions for each one, stored somewhere safe, known to someone you trust. This is not something most attorneys will proactively tell you to do, but it may save your family a level of heartache that goes beyond money. Let me give you the clearest, most actionable picture I can. Because I don't just want you to understand the problem. I want you to actually do something about it. The first thing, and the most important thing you can do right now, today, before you close this video, is check your beneficiary designations, your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, your life insurance policies. Find out who's named. Make sure it's accurate. Make sure it reflects your life as it is right now, not as it was when you first opened those accounts. This costs you nothing. It takes minutes. And it is the single most powerful thing most people can do to protect their family. The second thing is get a will. Yes, I know a will isn't perfect. I know it goes through probate. But a will with clear instructions is infinitely better than dying intestate, which is the legal term for dying without a will at all. When you die without a will, the government decides who gets what based on a formula. Your state's laws. Not your wishes. Not what you discuss with your family. The formula. And that formula can produce outcomes that would make you furious if you could see them. Third, and I know this one feels big, talk to an estate planning attorney about a trust. You don't have to be wealthy to need one. If you own a house, if you have kids, if you have a retirement account, a trust is worth exploring. Many attorneys offer free consultations. The conversation costs you nothing. Fourth, have the conversation with your family. Tell them where things are, not what they'll get, where things are. Where are your accounts? Where is your will? Who is your attorney? Where are your insurance policies? This is the conversation most families never have, and it's the conversation that saves the most chaos when the time comes. And fifth, sort out your digital life. Write down your important accounts, your passwords, your recovery phrases if you hold crypto. Secure it. Let one trusted person know where to find it. This one is simple, and the consequences of not doing it can be irreversible. Here's what I want you to understand above everything else. Money is a tool. It's a tool you've spent years building, years accumulating, years sacrificing for. And all of that work, all of those early mornings, all of those skipped luxuries, all of those careful decisions, it's all pointing towards something. Your family's security, your children's opportunities, the life you want to leave behind. But that tool only works if it actually gets to the people you intend it for. And right now, for most people watching this, there's a gap between what they've built and what will actually reach their family. And that gap isn't filled by working harder. It isn't filled by saving more. It's filled by understanding the system, the legal financial system that governs what happens to everything you've built after you're gone. Daniel built something real. He just didn't know about the gap. And his family paid the price. You know about the gap now, which means you have something Daniel didn't, a chance to fix it. While there's still time, while it's still your decision to make. So go check those beneficiaries. Call an attorney. Have that conversation with the people you love. Not because thinking about death is fun, but because taking care of the people you love, even after you're gone, is one of the most powerful things you'll ever do. And if this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, share it. Because I promise you, there's someone in your life who needs to hear this. Someone who's working hard, building something, and has no idea that the gap exists. Now go handle it. You've got everything you need.